as well. So the question is why? Why do we need something like system dynamics and systems thinking? And I think the answer is not simply that the world is changing faster and faster, things are accelerating. Everybody knows that. That's kind of the price of admission to the world today. It's that despite all the tools and methods that we've got, all the analytic power and our cleverness, things are getting harder and more of the policies that we implement are failing to solve the pressing challenges that we face. And this is not what I'm saying. This is what the senior leaders in organizations with whom I work, what they tell me. And the thoughtful ones, the most thoughtful ones, they say it's not just that things are getting harder and more difficult despite our cleverness and our analytic power, but because of it, that we're too clever for our own good. And I illustrate this traditionally with this picture of one of the leaders of an organization that I've worked with. And here is the poor guy in his office. Now, many of you have seen this before, but I think it's just a great representation of what's going on. And like most senior managers or lower level managers, he is completely squeezed by pressures on all sides. Can't breathe, claustrophobic. And what you're asked to do as a manager is to be decisive. So you've got to make decisions. Boom! Things are now much better for you, right? Now you can begin to breathe more easily, see out to the side. Relief, things are great. But as you may suspect, there could be some unanticipated side effects. Now, the reason I like this and the reason I'm showing it to you again is I think it's a great way to capture the core of what a lot of systems thinking is about. And why does this happen? Why does this happen, and why don't people learn? So it's not just that it happens once, but people do it over and over again. So why? That's a real question for you. So what do you think? Why might this happen, and why might this phenomenon persist? Yeah, go ahead.
People think only on the short term and the short-term implications of their action.
Great. So short-term time horizon and not thinking about what might happen later. So après-moi le déluge. I don't care, I'll do what's good for me in the short run. I don't care if it destroys the world later. Okay, great. What else? Yeah, go ahead.
Feedback loops. So you would kind of get some feedback and you won't really consider it the way that it really is.
Yeah, so there's definitely a feedback loop here, right? And the problem is that it takes too much time for that to happen. So the time delay in getting the feedback, maybe missing feedback, is connected to the short time horizon. In fact, what's going to happen in most organizations to this manager right about now? I mean, he solved the problem, right? So what happens to him?
He gets promoted.
Of course, he gets promoted. You get to sit in the chair. Boom. Right? It's a combination of short time horizon, not only by that guy, but the people who are evaluating his performance and maybe encouraging him to have a short time horizon. That's not going to be good for anybody in this situation, right? What else? What else might be going on? Let me get somebody over on this side of it. Yeah? Barkov, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's also, like you said, when you're thinking only short term, you panic and you make a decision without thinking about what the impact will be.
Right. This is a really important point, and let me put it into our terms. When people say, oh, it wasn't my fault, the reason we failed was some outside effect, some unanticipated side effect, something that came from out there. It wasn't my fault. They're trying to persuade you that they, in fact, are great managers and shouldn't be held responsible for the bad outcome. In fact, almost all the time, it is at least partially the result of their own past decisions, feedbacks they didn't understand and didn't recognize. And what they're actually trying to do is persuade you that it wasn't their fault, but what they're really communicating is how narrow and blinkered and inadequate is their understanding of the system in which they're embedded, what we would call their mental model.